according to the rules of hip hop, like, no, hell no, you ain't supposed to do that. But in real life, you can like take some shit back that you said.
Right. A new standard is being set. Music taste is now a non-negotiable foundation for serious relationships. If someone can't recall where they were when Meet the Grams dropped, it might be time to reevaluate the connection. This moment in hip-hop isn't just another internet phenomenon. It's a cultural landmark that will be discussed for decades, taught, revisited, and retold with reverence.
I relate to that. That's a very human thing to be like, ah, fuck, I said something I shouldn't have. And it's very mature to be like, I didn't mean it, I'm sorry. I know this might make me look weak.
J-Cole, bro, what are you doing, bro?
Thousands of videos have dissected this beef already, and yes, fatigue is understandable. But this isn't just another trend. It's the kind of artistic collision that defines generations. And fittingly, today marks 1 year since it all began. Think of this as a commemorative reflection, a digital gathering for one of the most pivotal events in modern hip-hop. In the time since this lyrical war ignited, the broader impact has only become clearer. Evaluating who commands their voice best in hip-hop's long lineage, Kendrick Lamar emerges as a singular force. Within this single conflict alone, Kendrick demonstrated more vocal range and character work than many manage in an entire career. When discussing beat selection, To Pimp a Butterfly continues to be hailed as the most intricately and masterfully produced rap album to date.
Drake takes aim at Kendrick Lamar with AI Tupac and Snoop Dogg vocals on tailor-made
So Drake and Kendrick
diss
Lamar
track.
are beefing. Drake wrote a beef, and he did AI Snoop and AI Tupac talking about how disappointed they are in Kendrick Lamar.
The sonic evolution across Kendrick's catalog shows unmatched versatility, matched only by perhaps Kanye West's unorthodox and experimental ear. Lyrical ability, easily argued within the top 5, if not top 3. While many artists dominate one or two dimensions, Kendrick has remained elite in every category: vocals, delivery, production, concept, and authenticity. That consistency sets him apart. But perhaps most striking is his emotional transparency. Kendrick Lamar is not just a rapper, he's a narrator of the human condition. From rage and fear to triumph and sorrow, each emotion is laid bare, crafted with deliberate honesty. That is the true differentiator, the core of his artistry. So when news broke that Kendrick had chosen to engage in battle with Drake, one of mainstream hip-hop's most commercially successful figures.
He wrote the raps, and then the voices sound perfect.
Oh my God.
It's unbelievable what's happening.
What is wrong with Kendrick Lamar?
They're just beef. This rap, it's competitive. They beef sometimes. I think Kendrick started this one.
Well,
so.
hip-hop is an interesting thing because I love hip-hop, but I don't really love bragging.
It became more than just a beef. It was an artistic confrontation years in the making. And among the era's major players, Childish Gambino, Tyler, Travis Scott, J. Cole, Cardi B, and even Kanye, no one creates cultural moments the way Kendrick does. Many artists today focus on crafting thoughtful projects, albums with coherent aesthetics, powerful visuals, and layered concepts. Their drops feel like real moments, cultural milestones etched into collective memory. So when one artist receives more streams than all of them without the same artistic depth, it becomes increasingly frustrating to watch. Drake's commercial dominance, despite his formulaic output, has long drawn scrutiny. Across his reign, very few of his releases have truly felt monumental. Unlike defining drops from artists like Kendrick Lamar, Tyler the Creator, or Childish Gambino, Drake's most viral moments have often come through internet memes, Hotline Bling, the Drake the Type of Guy joke, and countless others. These went viral, yes, but they didn't carry the same weight as the cultural moments crafted by his peers.
According to the rules of hip-hop, like, no, hell no, you ain't supposed to do that. But in real life, you can like take some shit back that you said.
Right. Before the conflict with Kendrick, Drake's image was built on accessibility and mainstream success. But since the battle began, a different narrative has emerged, one that peels back layers to expose his inner vulnerability. Kendrick's lyrical precision cut deeply, addressing personal insecurities that seem to have triggered a spiraling response. What followed has been difficult to ignore. Cringeworthy Instagram captions, an influx of underwhelming music, rushed projects, public outbursts, and questionable business moves have all marked Drake's post-beef era. One of the most telling signs lies in his track No Face, where he admits to exhausting his therapist by obsessing over rap battles, a line that raises bigger questions about how deeply this feud affected him. From public meltdowns to awkward interviews and the now infamous DeMar DeRozan incident, the pattern continues. Even ventures like his streaming appearances or his controversial ties with gambling brand partnerships suggest someone reaching for stability while falling deeper into chaos. What's more striking is the duality. While many now criticize him more harshly than ever, others are beginning to notice the deeper layers, understanding the toll fame and pressure can take when faced with personal scrutiny at this scale. There's a growing sense of contradiction in public discourse. Drake is both overhated and under-empathized, celebrated and scrutinized, all at once. And perhaps what resonates most is the familiarity of that spiral, of being confronted with uncomfortable truths and reacting in desperation. In that sense, the unraveling of Drake's image isn't just a celebrity crisis, it's a mirror to how people deal with ego, pressure, and the fear of losing control in front of the world. Drake has often been portrayed as the embodiment of calculated artistry, an artist whose identity seems molded more by audience demand than by personal conviction. Yet behind the internet memes and carefully curated image, there lies a more complex figure, one that reflects the struggle between authenticity and acceptance. Throughout his career, Drake has referenced feeling like an outsider. Many critics label him a manufactured figure, someone who adopted hip-hop aesthetics to gain credibility. But to dismiss his connection to the genre entirely would be inaccurate. There is ample evidence that his love for hip-hop is genuine. Childhood videos show him rapping with passion, and his musical lineage includes ties to legends. His father worked with Al Green, and his uncle played bass for Prince. Drake is as much a product of theater and performance as he is of hip-hop's core cultural values. Artists like Tupac and Tyler, the Creator, have shown it's possible to be both. The problem isn't that Drake embodies duality, it's that his deep insecurity may have driven him to suppress it. Instead of embracing both sides of himself, he took on every identity imaginable. Over the years, he's reinvented himself to match trends. At different points, he's aligned with Jamaican patois, Hispanic slang, Toronto patriotism, and street credibility. The result is a career that feels less like evolution and more like erosion, of authenticity in pursuit of mass appeal. His widely celebrated 15-year run is often cited as an incredible achievement, but when viewed through a critical lens, it resembles something more desperate. An unrelenting quest for relevance. Drake has rarely taken a year off. Instead, he has remained inescapable, always releasing new material, always finding a way to be at the center of attention. This drive to be seen and accepted is not unique to him. It's something deeply human, something that resonates even in quieter lives. The difference is that Drake's journey toward validation unfolded in front of the world. And in that spotlight, what might be a private longing for connection has been magnified into an unrelenting spectacle. The tragedy here isn't just artistic, it's existential. Drake became so committed to being everything for everyone that he seemingly became nothing to himself. As his identity was stretched across genres and personas, the person behind the music disappeared into the performance. Drake's ongoing unraveling may ironically be the most unfiltered version of him the public has ever seen. If he were ever to shed the performance completely and embrace full vulnerability, the result could reshape his legacy. But when it comes to understanding the broader impact of this rap conflict, another name enters the conversation: J. Cole, and with it, a new layer of complexity. The surprise appearance of J. Cole on Port Antonio added fuel to the cultural moment, but just as quickly as the track dropped, it was pulled, and that decision generated its own storm of discussion. Cole's retreat after briefly entering the ring with Kendrick left many wondering what he really stands for. At the center of the issue is Cole's self-assigned title, the middle child. That identity seems to reflect his entire approach, constantly trying to straddle both sides, to remain above the fray, to be the bridge. But in the context of a beef that's reshaping the genre, that stance comes off more like avoidance than leadership. In an interview with Angie Martinez, Cole said he doesn't want to be labeled as liberal, despite espousing progressive ideals in his music. That contradiction highlights a deeper tension in his public persona. It's not just indecision, it's the refusal to take a clear stance when the culture demands it. The first verse of Port Antonio reflects Cole's reverence for hip-hop. He speaks about the genre as a source of guidance and creative freedom, especially during moments of personal uncertainty. But by the second verse, he laments what hip-hop has become, reducing the Kendrick-Drake conflict to mere spectacle and urging a return to lyrical introspection. The contradiction is stark. On one hand, he upholds the values of artistic growth. On the other, he extends an olive branch to someone many view as the antithesis of that growth, Drake. For fans of the genre, this move wasn't simply about diplomacy. It felt like protecting a figure who many believe represents the commodification of the culture. J. Cole's position, though thoughtful, has left critics questioning whether his desire to remain neutral is hurting hip-hop more than helping it. In moments like these, clarity of vision matters. Choosing not to pick a side in a battle that's already shifting the genre's direction isn't wisdom, it's retreat. Why speak out against Lil Pump, only to sit across from him later in a friendly interview? Why critique Kanye West's unchecked ego in one track, then openly praise him elsewhere? In one of J. Cole's most celebrated songs, he highlights how fame distorts character, only to contradict himself by repeating that very cycle. On J. Cole's The Fall Off, he claims Kendrick and Drake's feud is just posturing to be called the greatest. Yet, by the song's end, he boldly declares himself the best rapper alive. This inconsistency isn't a one-off. It has become a recurring pattern that defines his career. There's nothing wrong with choosing peace. In fact, in today's polarized landscape, committing to peaceful principles would offer Cole a distinctive position in the culture. But to truly be Mr. Peaceful, you must stay consistent. That means avoiding performative neutrality and standing firm when it matters most. Cole often leans towards safe middle ground, never fully committing to any side. It's that hesitancy, that refusal to take definitive stances, which leaves listeners wondering where he really stands. Nowhere is this more apparent than in how he handles Drake. Despite Drake's long documented controversies and growing list of troubling behaviors, Cole continues to support him without critical distance. This is the same artist who once called out ego and delusion in the genre, but now, when those qualities manifest in Drake, he offers empathy without accountability. Kendrick Lamar, by contrast, represents the opposite approach. Vulnerable, honest, and unapologetically critical, even of himself. Throughout his discography, Kendrick has laid bare his trauma, mistakes, and moral dilemmas with raw clarity. He's addressed addiction, guilt, infidelity, homophobia, depression, and survivor's remorse, all through the lens of personal growth. Where J. Cole hesitates, Kendrick confronts. Where Cole softens, Kendrick sharpens. That's why in this moment of seismic shifts within hip-hop, Kendrick Lamar's voice cuts through louder than the rest. He isn't just rapping to be heard, he's rapping to be real. When Kendrick Lamar dropped Meet the Grams, the landscape of hip-hop changed in real time. It wasn't just a diss track, it was a public intervention. The song didn't aim at ego or status. It went for something far deeper: legacy, morality, and the truth hiding in plain sight. Kendrick didn't just attack Drake's image, he dissected his entire identity with surgical precision. The format was daring, a letter to each member of Drake's family, his son, his producer, his fans, even to Drake himself. It wasn't an emotional outburst, it was a calm, calculated takedown with masterful storytelling layered over somber production. Kendrick didn't scream, he whispered, and the whispers were deafening. What made Meet the Grams hit harder than any other diss in recent memory was how little it relied on rumors and gossip. Instead, it used Drake's own contradictions, public statements, and personal insecurities against him. There was no need for yelling when every line was packed with evidence and insight. The track dared to ask uncomfortable questions about fatherhood, about integrity, about fame, about accountability, and it forced listeners, not just fans, to sit with them. Even those who once dismissed the beef had to acknowledge the magnitude of what Kendrick delivered. More than a diss, it was a reckoning. The same way Tupac's Hit 'Em Up and Nas's Ether became etched into hip-hop's DNA, Meet the Grams redefined what it means to confront someone through music. This wasn't about internet clout, it was a message for history. Whether you agree with Kendrick or not, Meet the Grams set a new standard for lyrical warfare. It reminded the world that hip-hop isn't just about beats and charts. It's about truth, no matter how brutal. And that's really just the surface when it comes to Kendrick Lamar's final message. When asked by Citizen State what the title Not Like Us truly meant, Kendrick gave an answer that wasn't just poetic, it was timeless. He said, "A man who can recognize his mistakes and not be afraid to share the mistakes can dig deep down into fear-based ideologies or experiences to be able to express them without feeling like he's less of a man." That definition hits harder when you look at who he wasn't directly naming, yet perfectly describing. This is exactly what separates Kendrick from both Drake and J. Cole. It's not about skill, it's about foundation. It's about standing on something without crumbling under pressure or hiding behind industry plays and surface-level bars. That's why this era, this beef, and this moment might be the most defining in hip-hop history. It wasn't just a lyrical duel, it was a battle of authenticity versus performance. For the first time, the most real artist didn't just compete, he won in front of the world. Not Like Us became more than a diss track. It turned into an anthem of clarity, a declaration, a line in the sand. The fakest rapper of the past 15 years collided head-on with the realest one, and for once, the truth came out on top. When Kendrick dropped those lines and the world responded, it wasn't just music, it was a cultural correction. Because when you strip the fame, the memes, the brand deals, and distractions away, what's left is the core of an artist. And Kendrick reminded everyone that it's not about who sells more, it's about who stands taller. And that's a legacy you can't fake. So if there's anything to take from this moment, this beef, and this trilogy of artists, it's this. Don't be afraid to look in the mirror. Don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to grow. Don't be afraid to stand on something real. Thank you for watching. If you appreciated this deep dive, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another drop. Drop a comment below with which artist you think defined this era, and we'll see you in the next one.